Good evening, my dear believers. Welcome to the Bedtime Priest channel. I am your priest, your night watchman, and your bedtime guide. On this channel, we will delve into stories that are both thrilling and chilling. But fear not, for even as the shadows from the stories roam the night, my voice will be with you, offering comfort and protection. Now, let's dim the lights, snuggle into our warm beds, and embark on tonight's thrilling journey. Are you ready? Let us together step into the world of Bedtime Priest. It was the spring of 2010, and I turned 18. On my birthday, with reasons that now seem quite naive, I packed my bags and left home. For the next 4 years, I lived in my small apartment, working as a shop assistant at a bookstore from 7 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, and then helping out at a flower shop from 3 in the afternoon until 9 in the evening. My plan was to save enough money to buy my own house, and then either open a small shop or find a more stable job. Looking back now, I don't know how I managed to persist, but by the time I was 22, I had indeed saved a sum of money and began looking for a semi-permanent place to live. I was living in New York at the time, and although the housing prices were not as outrageous as they are now, it was still a city with a high cost of living. After several months of searching, I met Eva, a middle-aged woman who was renting out a 3-bedroom, 1-living-room house in Brooklyn at a price far below the market rate. The only issue was that the house was in very poor repair. It had been unoccupied for 2 years and needed thorough renovation before most people could comfortably move in. However, having lived in a small apartment for 4 years, any place with heating and hot water felt like paradise to me. I moved into the house in the summer of 2014. Before I settled in, Eva gave me a tour of the rooms. She was a tall, stern woman, rather strict, but how should I put it? Perhaps not as attentive due to her age. During the tour, she took me into the kitchen, then the living room, then the kitchen again, and then the living room again. As she was about to enter the kitchen for the 3rd time, I gently guided her towards the stairs. The house itself was spacious but aged. Dim, old-fashioned chandeliers cast long shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Most of the room's ceilings were discolored from past water leaks. The kitchen oven was broken. The shower tiles had serious chips, and some drawer handles fell off at the slightest touch. It was a dilapidated place, located in a cafe district, but it was still my new home. When Eva handed me the keys, I couldn't stop smiling. This is a good house with great potential for renovation. Now it's yours, she instructed, but I found it ironic. Before leaving, she stopped at the front door, rubbing her chin with one hand, looking at the house behind me. I tried to follow her gaze, but didn't know what she was looking at. Is everything all right? Yes, it's just that the living room seems a bit off, but I can't put my finger on it. Oh well, it's a good house with potential for renovation. You'll figure it out, she said, nodding at me to start unpacking. I didn't realize how much I missed living in a house. I didn't care how dilapidated the place was. As long as there was an accessible kitchen and a full-size sofa to rest on, I felt like a queen. After a few days of cleaning, I invited my brother and his fiancée over for dinner. I was proud to entertain as the host, even though it sounds silly. Before long, I settled comfortably into my new home. That night, after bidding farewell to my guests, I took a bath. The bathroom lacked a traditional mirror above the sink. Instead, there was a wide full-length mirror on the wall to the right of the sink. When I stepped out of the shower, walked up to the glass, and wiped away the fog with my hand, I noticed something strange. In the condensation, at my eye level, there was an E. I didn't know how it got there. Somehow, the letter seemed to have been deliberately left behind. It was hard to ignore. My brother had been in the bathroom before he left. Maybe he wrote the word on the mirror with his fingertip, and the steam from my bath made the letters appear. I almost texted him, but when I typed it out, the message seemed ridiculous, even paranoid. I wiped the mirror, turned around for the night, and soon forgot about it. The following week, I got a promotion at one of my jobs. Although I was grateful for the extra income, the new position meant longer working hours. In addition, I realized that some of the house repairs were beyond my capabilities, so I began to subcontract some of the work to contractors, leaving the house to myself in the evenings. It was annoying, but I had no choice given my busy schedule. Things were going well overall, although occasionally in the middle of the night, I would be awakened by some completely inescapable noises. When I noticed the words on the mirror again, I had already been living in the house for a month. The second time I saw it was much the same way as the first. I came home from work and took a bath. When I pulled back the shower curtain and looked at the glass, the words appeared in the steam. Leave here. I could dismiss 2 letters as a coincidence, but 2 words? An entire question? That was no coincidence. Someone had been in my bathroom recently. There had been contractors in and out of my house, so one of them could have left the message, but why? I dressed, put my hand on the bathroom doorknob, and was about to return to the living room. Then it occurred to me that the person who wrote the message might still be nearby. I slowly opened the door, peered down the dark hallway in one direction, then the other. Listening very carefully, I heard nothing. I walked around the house, and considering its size, it didn't take long to cover the whole place. All the doors were locked, all the windows were closed, and none of my personal belongings had been tampered with. If someone had broken into my house, they would have been gone by the time I looked around. The second message made me anxious for several days. I checked the doors and windows 3 times each night to make sure they were locked. After coming home from work and before going to bed, I carefully checked every potential hiding place, of which there were few in my small house. However, despite being convinced that my house was secure, my intuition told me that something was wrong. A month passed without incident. I was almost feeling at home in this new place again when one Saturday morning, I woke up at around 4 in the morning. I couldn't immediately say what had woken me up. The house usually creaked and groaned at night, sounding alive, but at that moment, the house was silent. It wasn't until I turned my head to the side that I realized the bedroom door was open, but I was sure I had closed it. I stared down the hallway as if staring into a black hole. The darkness was like an abyss. I kept waiting for my eyes to adjust to the darkness and recognize the familiar shapes of my home. But they didn't. I couldn't see anything, so why did I still feel like something was watching me? Like there was something in the house with me, a foot away from the threshold in my bedroom. Watching. Waiting. Somehow, I mustered the courage to get up from the bed and walk to the door. When I touched the handle, grabbed it, and slammed the door shut. I didn't investigate further, nor did I peek into the hallway. My bedroom door couldn't be locked, nor could the others, except for the bathroom. So I dragged a bookshelf in front of the door. It was a small bookshelf, and if an intruder was willing, they could probably break the door down, but I should have heard some noise before that. When morning came, and I had to leave for work, I actually considered climbing out the window. I was almost late, but I still mustered the courage to look around the house one more time, and then, as usual, I couldn't find any problems. When it was time to get off work, I reluctantly returned home for the night, quickly ate dinner, and then went to take a bath. I remember standing in the bathtub for a long time, contemplating my predicament. I had heard horror stories about people secretly living in other people's homes. Maybe I had even unknowingly become a victim of parasitism. But if that was the case, then where were they? There was nowhere to hide in this small house. I had searched the place multiple times before, checking every cabinet and closet. The interior of the house couldn't be accessed through the vents either. They were too small to fit a person. Suddenly, I heard a sound so soft that I almost missed it. I pulled back the shower curtain, grabbed a bottle of shampoo, ready to strike the intruder. As expected, there was no one in the room, but there was a new message on the mirror. It was the easiest to read of all the messages I had received so far in bold letters. It read 3 words: I see you. Terrible fear, confusion, and anger enveloped me, my stomach churning. In the end, the latter emotion overpowered the others. I quickly dried off, threw on some clothes, and grabbed my phone from the bathroom counter. I dialed Eva's number, staring at the damn mirror while listening to the ringing tone over and over again. She finally answered, but I thought she was too late to wake up. She started asking how I was doing in my new place, but I interrupted. I want you to tell me if there's any way for someone to sneak into the house, I said. Every night I check every window and door, every closet, wardrobe, and storage cabinet, and things are still not right. If there's something I've missed, please tell me. Eva didn't seem to fully understand what I was asking. What? What's coming in? Are you talking about rats? My previous tenant, before you, sometimes had trouble with rats. Well, of course, there are rats here. Besides doors and windows, where else can they come in? Well, there's a vent that used to be a chimney, although I had it sealed up a long time ago. It's climbable. I think you should have been there. Although I knew there was an area in the house that could only be passed by crawling, I never had much reason to investigate it. Even after lifting all the carpets in the house, I could never find the entrance. Perhaps there was a hardwood board at the entrance? It would be unlikely for an intruder to get in there. Then how do I get in? Well, you'll see when you get there. I restrained myself from smashing the phone on the countertop. I will. Where exactly is the entrance? In the living room closet area on that section of the floor. I looked around the living room. I thought I had heard wrong. Either he was confused again. What? Oh, that was an addition. It wasn't a living room before. But that's where it is. There was no closet in the living room. Of course there is. To the left of the sofa. I looked at the mirror. The long, large full-length mirror. I had previously thought it was strange for a living room of this size to have a built-in floor-to-ceiling mirror. What did Eva say during her first visit? The living room looked a bit odd. I put the phone on the edge of the sofa, approached the glass, felt around the frame for a while, trying to find a latch, then grabbed a spot on the left side of the frame with both hands and yanked it open. The mirror opened like a door, revealing a hidden room. Eva was still saying something on the other end of the phone, but I was too shocked to respond. There was a square hole behind the room, and I thought it led to the crawl space under the house. The floor was littered with all kinds of garbage, dirty sheets, fast food boxes, cola cans, etc. I realized there were also some of my personal belongings. The little things I thought were misplaced. An earring, a lipstick, a key, and a framed photo of me, my brother, and our old cat. I squatted down at the door, picked up the photo, and looked at the smiling self from a few years ago, until I heard Eva calling my name over the phone. But the voice didn't sound like her at all. It was too deep, too clear, too close. When I looked up, a woman was peeking at me from the hole in the floor. She smiled at me, her eyes narrowed to slits, her pupils bright, her smile so exaggerated that it looked painful, her hair short and messy. I only saw her above the neck, and the glaring light made it look like a head without a body, grinning at me from behind the room. I ran in terror. I didn't stop until I reached my car. I immediately drove to my brother's house. The next day, I went to the police station to report the incident. A female police officer met me at the house, and while inspecting the scene, I showed her the hidden room, which was indeed the entrance to the basement. My best guess is that the intruder crawled in through a small door on the side of the house. She may have been squatting there during the year the house was unoccupied, and when she saw it was going to be transferred, she modified the room door to make a little space for herself. I don't know why she decided to stay or why she left me messages. Judging by her behavior and my personal opinion, I think she must be mentally unstable. Unfortunately, this person was never found. As far as I know, she is still in the same community. Damn it, she might even still be in that house. I moved to the city and have been living in an apartment ever since. The thought of living in a big house with so many rooms, corners, and hiding places terrifies me. What made me feel down about this incident was not just the house, but also the mirror. Every time I visit friends or stay in a hotel, I always check the living room mirror carefully, shining the light directly on the mirror surface, tapping the glass with my fingers. Because the worst detail of the whole ordeal was when I reconstructed the living room scene with the police. I walked into the hidden room, closed the door, and looked at the mirror. I didn't see the mirror backing, but saw the face of the police officer on the other side of the glass. Since then, my life has changed dramatically. I am no longer as carefree as before. I have become vigilant about my surroundings and keep a distance from strangers. My life has become more cautious, and I have come to understand that there are things in this world that are unpredictable, and some dangers are hidden in what seems to be an ordinary life. I moved to a new apartment and started a new life. I tried to forget that terrifying experience, but it has been deeply branded in my memory and cannot be erased. I started writing, turning my story into a novel, hoping to help others who have experienced similar things. I learned to protect myself and to sense the presence of danger before it arrives. Although my life is no longer as simple as it used to be, I have become stronger and braver. I know that no matter what the future holds, I can face it, because I know that even in the darkest moments, there is always a ray of light waiting for us. The story has come to a pause, my dear believers. I wonder if you're feeling a bit of a shiver right now. But remember, no matter how unsettling the tales may be, your priest is right here, guarding your dreams. So don't be afraid. Close your eyes and drift off to sleep peacefully. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can join me every night. Good night, and may God bless you with sweet dreams.